Today I'll be reviewing one of my most anticipated titles of 2023. So namaskar friends, welcome to Legal Desi. Let's begin. Before I go any further, if you like the video, then hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It helps out more than you know. The plot of Final Fantasy XVI takes us to the kingdom of Valisthea and sets the stage of showing events from 13 years ago at first. Certain individuals are gifted with magical abilities, however only a select few can summon massive creatures known as the Icons. Our protagonist Clive Drosfield and his younger brother Joshua are both gifted with this ability, and certain tragic events cause their icons to not only awaken but also fight each other. Clive's icon Ifrit ultimately ends up killing Joshua, and Clive is under the impression it was someone else and sets on a mission to find him. That brings us to the events of the present day. There are multiple other twists and turns covering how Valisthea is plagued by a blight and how different events shape up the politics of the entire kingdom that make it an immersive and much lived-in game world. To help you understand this world and all that it has to offer, the developers have added an active time load feature which you can look up at any time and get an idea of the location, the characters and the factions that you are currently in. I can't go into too much detail about the plot without leading into spoiler territory. What I can say is that there have been many more times than once when I've noticed main quests overstretching a bit with tasks that could have been either side quests or not there at all. For example, when you have to proceed further in your journey at a point, you find a bridge is broken, so your main quest becomes finding and saving the carpenter so he can repair that bridge. It is minor but not something that I found as a deal breaker. Now let's talk about one of the most loved and yet one of the most controversial features of the game, graphics. First of all, the game looks absolutely beautiful. Whether it's the character models, the facial animations, the world, the NPC, the icons, and even the bosses, everything looks simply drop dead gorgeous. And the attention to detail is especially impressive. The game world truly matches the lore and every single place looks like it has a story to tell. The PlayStation 5 has the option of playing this game on frame rate mode having 1080p native resolution, upscale to a 1440p, targeted 60 FPS, or the graphics mode which is at 1440 native resolution, upscale to 4K at a target of 30 FPS. In my tests of both, I felt that the frame rate mode has not stuck to a consistent 60 FPS, and further Digital Foundry has confirmed the same, with the frame rate dropping to as low as 37 FPS on occasion during their tests. For a more consistent gameplay and feel, it is recommended that you play this in graphics mode, however the performance mode can work out for you. The combat is definitely my favorite part of the game. It's a hack and slash mix that feels like a crossover between Devil May Cry and God of War. But what impressed me the most was the flexibility from difficulty options to in-combat options. So you can fine-tune it to as easy or as difficult as you want it to be. For example, in the gear option, you can equip a ring that will allow you an additional time to evade an attack. But if you want, you can equip a separate ring and let your character auto-evade. And then there's also a gear piece that lets you basically chain complex attacks through a single button push. You have multiple such options within your gear itself. Many of the boss battles blend perfectly with the cinematic cutscenes, which is a trademark of Sony exclusive games. But it can occasionally become annoying, though it will add to the overall immersion of the game. The game also has a party system where you will be accompanied by Toggle, a dog which you can give commands to during the combat, and other members who will be AI controlled. The world of Valisthea is more of a semi-open world map where you have this massive kingdom, however you can't freely move from one point to another. Instead, you will unlock travel points as you progress the main story, and a section of the map opens up which is mostly linear to allow you to move around. The level progression is very simple. The combat provides you level points and skill points. While leveling up helps your base stats, skill points will help you learn and master new combat moves as well as feed into your magical abilities, which really help out as the combat gets more complex and more difficult. I'm looking at Final Fantasy XVI without the influences of any previous Final Fantasy game before it, as each entry is set in a completely different setting with some similarities. From a lore point of view, it is as detailed and as complex as it gets for a Final Fantasy game, and with the flexibility in combat, it is also a perfect starting point for people who have never touched a Final Fantasy game before. There is no other way to look at it. Final Fantasy XVI is the second game of 2023 after The Legend of Zelda truly has a shot at being a potential game of the year. With that being said, I highly recommend you pick this game up and immerse yourself with all that Valisthea has to offer. That's gonna do it for the video guys, and I will see you in the next one.